What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back for another tower update video. We got update number 11 this week. Got some pretty good changes this week, but nothing I would say is too crazy for us. Um, let's start off by looking at our run history. As you can see, we're doing really good with economy right now. With that being said, we're going to be making some pretty sizable tweaks, which we'll be going over here in a little bit, to trying to see what we can do with increasing our coins, not only our coins per hour, but also trying to generate some of our other currencies. I'd like to try to see what we can do in terms of getting more shards, and that really comes down to moving up a tier, and I have a little bit of a game plan that we're going to do some testing on. But everything's looking really good. See, Poison Swamp, 720 kills. It was like 600. So, mild improvement. But I generally die to elites. I think I just get chipped down by elites and then get finished off by elites. As you guys can see here with our tournament, we did pretty good. We did ninth, I think it was 9th place, or no, I'm sorry, we did 12th place this tournament. We did 1300 waves, 1314, tried a couple builds. This was our Sharp Fortitude build that did the best. These were both negative mass projector builds, just could not quite compete, and that's usually how it is. I'm usually within about 50 waves or so, plus or minus. So still, Sharp Fortitude is still overall performing better for us at this stage where we're at with tournament. I really think that negative mass projector will start to peak when we can get the workshop orb adjuster. So here it is. So we're 30 keys away from that. I guess technically 25 keys away from that if we want to go that route. But part of me is thinking that I'd get a little bit more benefit out of getting another card slot. So I'm going to still decide. I'm going to see what happens with V29. But I'm gonna decide on that. I haven't made up a final decision. Yeah, I think with a card slot, I'd get more benefit with trying to fit more damage cards in to get more benefit from the Poison Swamp Plus. But I think from a EHP standpoint, just overall, I would get more benefit because I could more fully utilize negative mass projector, and I just couldn't perfectly line up with running a larger range in tournament. I wasn't able to line up the orbs perfectly. The range line for the ranged enemies was too far outside of the workshop orbs, and I was only able to hit them with the extra orbs, which is far less of. So a little bit to think about, and we're still going to make some decisions on that. As far as the guild, nothing too exciting. I talked about this in one of the last videos that we had. I accidentally took this out of partial sync. So with the bots, I am at 50 seconds. So every third, I would get an activation lined up with summon. And when I first did that and then increased this, I just had a massive spike in economy. Well, now I've taken the partial sync off, so by accident. So with V29, we're gonna get the bot presets, so I'll fix it at that point, because we'll see if we make any additional decisions. Something that's interesting was we downsized this quite a bit, but something that was interesting, and the reason I did that was because this can't target fleet. So I was like, well, what is it really doing for me? But the interesting thing that I saw is look at the amount of damage that attack chip puts out. I don't remember if AB or AC comes first. Let's see, where's orbs? AC. So AC must be bigger than AB. I'm pretty sure. But anyways, puts out a huge amount of damage. I mean, like, negligible. At that, you know, at that point, negligible. Landmines, negligible. Rend armor, negligible. It's a huge amount of damage. So I thought that was a little bit interesting. Should we look at next, guys? We can take a look at, oh yeah, let's take a look at the stats page. It's right in front of you on the right side. As you can see, we're up to 113 big Q in the coins department. Still sitting at 136,000 on the stones. And look at our workshop, 2.35 thousand, or our labs, pardon me. So that's going to be really good. We're going to get that up to 2.5 before we know it. And with what I was saying about wanting to generate more currencies, I'd really like to get some more cells so I can run all 5 labs at 6x speed. I think that's a huge improvement that we could get, which we can take a look at. Let's take a look at the workshop next. We have finally switched to a 30-meter range after one of our last tournaments, 2 tournaments ago. So huge spike in economy. Running the smaller range made a big difference for us. This stuff all just maxes out at run, so I don't really worry about it. Same thing here. None of it really matters. Just put a couple of the basics on, and nothing has changed over here. Still running 6 and 5. In the enhancements department, I think really the biggest changes here are we're running a 2.03 coin bonus, and we're up to 1.9 in the cells bonus. I think we've been at 1.5 in the free ups. I definitely have some room that I can improve that. But what we're going to do next is we have some tweaks that we're going to be really doing some testing on. So I haven't decided exactly what we're gonna be upgrading. I think we're gonna be doing some damage. And let's take a look at the ultimate weapons quick while we're in the workshop tab. Nothing has really changed here. I think we're still at level 8 here. I don't really know when we're gonna put the next click in. These next couple clicks get super expensive, and it seems like the general community consensus is it's a little bit of a minimal gain. So I'm not committed to that for more damage yet. Again, very expensive. I don't know if moving to level 10 would net me a huge increase. We're still at permanent, obviously, because we run G-Comp all the time. Eventually, we'll need to move away from that, but I kind of crunch the numbers with Black Hole, and it just doesn't make sense for the time being anyway. Inner landmines had this basically the way it is for a long time. Don't foresee that changing very much. GT Plus is outrageously expensive. Maybe we'll do a little bit more interduration at some point, but very expensive, and we're at level 11. So Death Creep, we're at level 1, so not really doing too much. Nothing's changed here. Again, extremely expensive there for 1 click, and we're just pretty happy with where we're at. We're getting keys almost every week, have a very good coin per hour. So I think just kind of leaving the Black Hole where we're at for cost, we're doing good in tournaments. So one of the damage things I've been thinking about, these clicks are very cheap, and I think it would be worthwhile to do. I don't know if it's better to do a couple clicks of Death Creep, like a 2-to-1 ratio, or maybe just based on cost, maybe 2 clicks and 1 click. Still a little undecided on that. Still a little undecided. I know I should with the investment now that I've put into Poison Swamp. I absolutely need to dedicate a little bit of damage to that. Plus, like as we saw, guys, Poison Swamp is literally doing nothing for us damage-wise. So, kind of to be expected because we don't have a lot of damage output for Death Creep. The multiplier is tiny here. You know, our damage multiplier is tiny. We don't have enough crit factor. So there's just a lot of factors. And look at, you know, the next click is 900 here. So we put out a ton of damage with that. When my next click is 923 or whatever here, I'm going to be doing the bulk of the damage, or like almost as much damage with something like Chain Lightning, I would imagine. So that's what we're going to be doing next. Well, one of the next discussions that we're going to have is where to spend keys, but we're not quite ready for that. Let's take a quick look at the cards. Nothing's changed, but here's what I'm talking about. So we do have 23 card slots, which is very good. I think the max is 28 with cards, but I think something for like moving up to tier 17, I'd like to run this EHP build, but with more damage. And if I had another 2 card slots, we could run damage, which we have damage mastery. So we get a 20 times bonus here, you know. I mean, that's a huge multiplier. Then we could get an additional, 8 times damage from this. And then if it could, I'd like to possibly think about putting this in with the mastery. So it's a lot to think about there, a lot to soak in. Not really sure exactly the direction that we're going because we are just right now waiting for what's coming with V29. But that's kind of what I'm thinking and that's where I'm finding that the damage from the card would be really beneficial. But I think from an EHP perspective, I think I'll get the most benefit with the Orb Adjuster. So I'm still deciding on that. They're almost the same cost at this point. So, well, I need 20 more. What is it? 25 more. I literally just drew a blank. Yeah, so I need 25 more for Orb Adjuster and 10 more for a card slot. So we'll see. And I think, like I said, we're going to do a little bit of testing with tier 17 soon. And that's actually where we will get into on this next part. And I think our biggest changes here is we want to move into tier 17. We tried tier 17. It did not work. We just had no answer for the tank ultimates. We don't have enough damage. We couldn't adjust the orb range correctly. That was on a 40 meter range. So now I'd like to try it on this 30 meter range because it'll be less room for those tanks to pile up inside the orb range. We have the Poison Swamp where it's at now, I think, when we did our tier 17 testing. So I'm not expecting, like I said, Poison Swamp at this rate, or at this stage is not super effective. We need more base damage output. But here's what I'm thinking. So in a perfect world, I was thinking, well, where can I get the most damage? Because when we tried tier 17, and I don't think we can look back at that. Yes, we can. So look at this. We were doing a ton of waves, and then we ran with no flame bot and did this. And we were like, what the heck? Well, anyways, this is what we did. This was our first tier 17 run. And then we ran this with no CF+. So then we started running with CF+, with a lesser bot multiplier on our flame bot. So with that being said, I would imagine these 10,000 wave runs should be very consistent, probably in the 11,000 plus, because then you start running into the overheat mechanics and get extra fleet chart spawn. So here's what I'm thinking. I'm like, well, if I'm already going to be able to do that much, if I could do like 1,500 less waves, maybe could I at least find a way to get more economy? So I'm looking at my modules because that's the easiest thing to change, right? And I'm like, well, harmony conductor, 30% chance to miss, right? That's pretty good. That's pretty good. But I think if we took that out completely, we'd be okay. So I'm like, well, what about this dimension core? This, I think, is where I'd get the most benefit. The problem, I don't want to re-roll this with farming cards. I don't want to lose my... And it's not crazy. A 1.3 multiplier on the bonus and a 2.3 duration. This is definitely going to be the biggest factor because that's 2 seconds towards my GT plus multiplier that I'm going to lose. So then I started thinking about it from a little bit of a different aspect, and I'm like, well, where else could I swap something out? This has to stay. I don't know if this would ultimately kill a couple things outside of range, so I don't think that would be good. Nothing else really makes sense over here, I guess, from a damage aspect. This, I guess, could be a little something, but again, I really wouldn't get a lot of benefit out of that. That's why everything kind of took me back to this, because my chain lightning is strong. Well, then I'm like, what if I took this out? What if I just like went full hybrid on this? Take out the 2.5 times wall health and regen multiplier. Now you're probably thinking like, bro, that sounds kind of crazy, especially if you're trying to run at a 30-meter range. And I'm like, you're absolutely correct. And that's what I was thinking. But I thought about this a little bit, and I'm like, well, what could I do in place over here, right? You don't have a lot of options. This could be good. This really wouldn't help you kill anything. It just help you take less damage. I don't really think I have enough. I don't know. This is kind of what I was thinking, but I don't want to screw up my roll on this because I have this kind of set up for tournaments, right? So then I'm like, well, I never use this, but what if we could put EHP stats on this and get some interior damage where those tanks pile up, right? And now we have area of effect mastery maxed out. So I'm like, well, I think maybe we need to try it. So guys, that's going to be something that we're going to try. I'm going to try a tier 17 run with a space displacer in place of a sharp fortitude. I absolutely expect to do less in waves, but I'm hoping that I can get a ton more economy overall per hour. So we're gonna see, guys. I think that's gonna be a little bit of an interesting test, and maybe it's not gonna work. You know, we'll know after a run or two if it's just really bad. But again, I'm looking at not only the coins but the shards. We want to see what we can get in terms of more shards, because we want to get these up to 161 and these up to 201. So we've already got that process started here. You know, ultimately get that extra substat on there. That'd be fantastic. Same thing over here. That would help with economy if we go back to the sharp fortitude, if this just completely sucks. So pretty excited to try that, guys. That's going to be really interesting. Now this can kind of all wrap together. Well, you know, we'll stretch this a little bit. Our assists over here haven't really changed much. We're doing a lot of thinking about what we could do with a unique effect boost. And this is a little bit more with what can we do in terms of getting more damage, like usable damage for us. So we've talked about this a lot in these last couple tournaments, and I'm like, it's really tough when I'm trying to run a damage or like a damage build, for example. Like, what makes the most sense, you know? And for a health build, even for that matter, it's like a lot of times I have a hard time figuring out what's going to make the most sense in the assist slot, because I get such a bad multiplier. 10%, 5 seconds, you know. And this is the one that I think kills, because this, if I could get this 26-second multiplier, even an 18-second increase on damage, but when you run amp strike in the assist slot, the damage increase is literally a split second, because you're obviously running at a higher game speed. So it's like, it's really negligible. I think it'd be interesting for an EHP and a damage aspect to increase this a click or two. I'm not thinking about these. I'm thinking about the multipliers, because if we got this up to a 30%, it's going to help with like knockback and stuff so much, right? If we get that up to, say it's a build where we want to do some more damage, you know, then we'll put the amp strike over here. We'll have the 18-second increase. So a little bit more stuff that I'm thinking about, and I talked about that about a month ago, and I kind of got shot down on that. But the more I've been thinking about it, I'm like, well, I really think that actually is a good thinking on my part. But I'm not going to get too carried away, because there's a lot of other places that stones need to go. We're going to jump over to the labs, guys. We're getting close to finishing Wallthorns. This will probably be another week or 2 weeks or something like that to finish these last couple levels. Just riding the defense disco. I think we'll bump this up to like 5% or something, and then take a break on it. As you can see here, Super Tower Mastery is on the verge of finishing, guys. That is fantastic. And if we scroll all the way to the bottom, we did finish Area of Effect Mastery. So I finally have defense percent back in. I think we probably just need to deal with it and stop complaining about it taking 99 days at 6x. I think we just need to deal with it, get some percent into there. And then also, guys, per the recommendation of one of you guys in the comments in our Poison Swamp video, Burn Stack, it's on its last level, so that's going to help chip away armor on these enemies. And again, we run a Flamebot 24/7, so it's always there. We might as well be putting out damage with it too. So that's really good. This is the last level on that. When we're done with Super Tower Mastery, this is a little cluttered in here, and I know I should fix it. But when we're done with Super Tower Mastery, I think we're gonna try to finish out like health regen. I don't know. I might do health regen, or I might do armor substat. I think I'm probably gonna do armor substat, because we're just trying to close the gap on this defense percent. We're trying to get it up to like 95, 96% as soon as possible. I think if I can get to 96% where my build's at, it'd be freaking massive. I mean, we'd be doing another 150 to 200 waves in tournament, I think, with a 3.5% increase. So that's kind of one of the main focuses, is getting some defense percent. Those are the two ways to do it, substat. So I think we'll do that. When we finish the Flamebot, we will probably do some like semi-quick ones. We'll do some semi-quick ones, I think. We'll do another 10 levels into range. We'll do 5% probably into ranged enemy range. If I do enough levels into ranged enemy range, I think that could kind of counterbalance what I was talking about with the range line, and maybe then I wouldn't need the workshop orb adjuster. The only thing is, especially if we increase the range more, if we're running at like a 210 meter range, I think you'd have to close the range gap so far. And this is 30 levels, so you get a 15% decrease. I don't know if that would be enough, running at like a super big range. So I think we'll start with getting this up to like 5% and kind of see what it looks like at that point. See how much that really closes the gap on a 200 meter range, 210 meter range or something like that. But yeah, guys, we're just gonna kind of float through these. You know, I know we'll probably dive into those. We need to work on some more utility disco, you know. So that is what we're doing. Oh, guys, we can take a look at the, I don't know if you guys really like to look at this much. We got a 2.32 gem rush efficiency. And then I don't know if you guys like to see the history much, but it's really just working on a lot of the same stuff. As you can see, we did a 10 level run there on range, and we'll do another 10 level run. I think that should get us to 210 meters or so. So yeah, a lot of the same stuff, guys. I know we kind of glanced at them quick, but event shop. Oh, we need to buy some things. Holy cow, guys. And what's this? Tower damage, 5%. I guess I need to check this more often, guys. Well, anyways, this is what we're working with in the bots. We're waiting for the bot presets from V29. I don't remember exactly where they said it gets unlocked, but I'm guessing that I'll be able to have it unlocked with where I'm at. Last time we kind of talked about these, we wanted to take like 0.2 out of this. We wanted to sync the range on both of these, and then we wanted to take this extra %, these 2 clicks or 1 second, and put that into some of this stuff here. So we'd have a 34-second on each of those. I think that'd be sufficient. But we're gonna see what comes with bot presets, because when we do that, we'll be able to dial this back a little bit and just max these 2 out completely or something. And then with like a tournament build, we can do well, actually, guys, what I think we're gonna do with our farm build, in all honesty, I think we're gonna unlock GBot Plus so we can get the cell increase for farming. And then for our like a tournament build, since we won't need GBot, the EHP build's going to get the Thunderbot, and then I think we'll do a damage build with an amp bot. So yeah, that's pretty much the 3 builds that I think we'll have. I think you get 3, right? I think it's 3. Yeah. Yeah. So that's that, guys. And did we miss anything? I don't think we've missed anything. I think that's everything. We looked at the run history. So last thing, guys, is where are we going to spend the next stones? I've basically dedicated it to 3 possible thoughts, and I'm leaning towards 2. I think now that we're finishing labs for masteries, that was the whole reason. I didn't want to get more masteries if I didn't have the lab space for them. There's no real point on unlock with most masteries at my stage. But first and foremost, I think, is landmine stun mastery. I really like this. Obviously, 2.5% chance to miss their attack. That at level 10 becomes 25%. Now, there's a caveat with that. How many enemies are going to get stunned by landmine? And we did work on the, let's pull it up. I think that's in the defense tab. Landmine decay. So I have it at 7 seconds. It has 35. Now, I probably should work on that again. I think that's a big factor, is making sure your landmines are sticking around. So that's number 1. However, I've been thinking a little bit more, and I'm like, would I get more benefit right now adding Demon Mode Mastery? But I think with this in mind, I would need the card slot. I think I definitely need a card slot or 2. I wouldn't need it for tournament. It would be great for tournament. But I'm also thinking about what it's going to take to move up a tier and have it be viable. Because we've already established I don't have the damage to kill enemies fast enough. I'm always, like almost always, above the spawn cap on tier 17. So now just imagine how bad that would be on tier 18. And in a lot of the testing that we've done, and we can take a quick look at that one more time here, On these, here we go. Tier 17, 10,700 waves. We did we're doing 200 K cells per hour. Dude, we do better. Here, look at this, 2.1, 217. 221K. So it's like we're making more cells per hour. That's a huge factor, but I know that with the higher tiers you're going to get more shards. And I'm really trying to be realistic about, as long as everything kind of balances out and we can get an increase with one of these other currencies. But yeah, that's really, I'm like, it's a little more expensive. Or no, it's the same cost. It's 1,000. Let me know in the comments, guys. What do you think? Should we get Demon Mode Mastery? Or should we get Landmine Stun Mastery? My gut tells me to just get the Landmine Mastery. But again, it's like how many of those enemies are actually going to hit a landmine to get the 25% chance to get stunned. So in reality, say it's only 25%, or say it's only 50% of enemies, you know, that's a 12.5% chance. Say it's a little bit less than that, you know, say it's only 25% of enemies actually hit a landmine and get stunned. You're talking about what, like 7.5%, 7%? So kind of tough. That was that like 6.5%. So would that really be that viable? It absolutely would help, but I also don't know if I have enough. I don't know if I have enough regen and health anymore. Because it seems like when I start taking damage, I start taking big damage, dude. I'll go from like full health bar, rock solid, to my health bar just gets eliminated, just gets deleted. And I think a lot of that stems from getting overwhelmed by not having the damage output to clear enemies. So I'm like, would it make more sense to have more damage so I can start clearing enemies off the screen and then get a little bit of damage mitigation? And again, we're talking about a little bit. The chances are not great. So I'm thinking, guys, I know with Area of Effect Mastery, I know that, or I'm pretty sure, right? So with Area of Effect Mastery, landmines. So if I'm not mistaken, the landmine radius, the blast zone, is increased by 25%. So if we hop into run, let's just see if we can get a look at what that looks like. Give us some landmines. Is that that's these pink blasts, right? Or the purple or whatever, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's what that is. So it is a big zone. So actually, I guess, well, I don't know. Why don't we just look at this? Why don't we look at actual facts? I'm tripping. I forgot that they've increased the stats page so well. Enemies hit by, not landmines, 1.73 million, and total enemies. Okay, so basically we're hitting 90% of enemies. Yeah, we're hitting like 90% of enemies, right? It's 1.8 million. We hit 1.7 million. Yeah, so disregard what I'm saying. Like, basically every enemy would be getting hit. So I also have another question, guys. With that, is that a one-time use? Or if an enemy is constantly getting stunned, do they have a chance to constantly miss their attack? Because that would seem broken, right? Like, look at how many inner landmine blasts. Enemies are just constantly being hit with inner landmines. So would they constantly have the chance to miss their attack? So it's like a permanent 25% chance that they miss their attack. I think that's how I'm reading that. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. But anyways, guys, tell me what you guys think. Landmine Stun Mastery, Demon Mode Mastery, Cannon Unique Effect Upgrade, level 1. Tell me what you guys think. If you like the video, please show some support, like and subscribe if you're not already. Really looking forward to V29, guys. Looking forward to seeing how you guys progress your builds, and I'm looking forward to you guys viewing how I progress my build. I think there's a lot in store for us. There's going to be a huge power scaling next week, guys. And we're going to have to all stay on top of optimizing with these new changes, because there's going to be a big power spike. So look forward to it, guys. I'll see you on V29 next week.